Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda and NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris. Emily, we're hearing the jury had some questions about the evidence. What exactly does the jury want to take a closer look at? What's happening inside that courtroom?
Yeah, so just a couple of hours into their deliberations on day two, they are asking to see some more of the evidence, as you mentioned, specifically a bag of pills that the defense attorney, Kevin Reddington, had held up during his closing arguments. Also, I'm told he's telling us that they also went to see another bag of pills and the knife. Remember that Lindsay Clancy had cut herself as part of her suicide attempt back in 2023 after she admitted to killing her 3 young children. So we knew there was some activity just after 10 a.m. when the prosecution started returning to the courtroom, when Lindsay Clancy's family members started returning to the courtroom, and then the media had followed. The jury notably was never brought in, but there was a sidebar with the attorneys and the judge. At one point, the judge seen holding up a bag of pills. Now, again, the defense attorney confirming to us the jury wants to see that bag of pills. The jury resumed deliberation shortly after 9 a.m. So we're about 2 hours into deliberations of day two. Yesterday, Reddington had said that he suspected that deliberations would take some time just because of the complicated nature of the case. Take a listen. Here's what he said this morning.
How did Lindsay feel yesterday after closing arguments?
She's nervous. Like I said before, she's very just sad, scared. She's the same she's been forever since this incident. Bless your back.
You say she's sad and scared. What is she? She's scared of the worst possible outcome?
What would you be scared of?
Do you have any gauge on how long the jury could be out for? Is there any way to tell?
No. You know, they could be back. I've had them back in an hour. I've had them back in a week. You never know.
And you can get a sense from that video of just the sheer interest in this case across the country. I also saw Lindsay Clancy's parents and her sister return to the courtroom as these deliberations are underway. The sister and the mom both testified during the trial. Christine.
Let's talk, Misty, about what they're asking about here. They want to see the knife. They want to see the bag of pills. Any significance to that?
Yeah, so the jury in the deliberation room, they have documentary evidence, but not physical evidence. So if they want to see something, they have to go through this process, send a note. The judge meets with both sides and makes a determination about what to send back to the jury room. But let's talk about how those two things fit into the case. The pills, a central argument for the defense that Lindsay Clancy was over-medicated, prescribed many different medications, and that side effects from those or weaning off of those or even taking all of them at the same time or some of them at the same time led to ultimately this state of psychosis. That's central. Now, the prosecution pushed back on that and said she wasn't taking these medications at the same time. And in fact, some of those pill bottles would indicate that she wasn't even taking what was prescribed to her at all because the pills were still in the bottle. So that's a central issue. The knife, another issue. The nature and extent of the wounds on her wrists and neck. We know the prosecutors had tried to undermine a legitimate suicide attempt a bit, as the defense had said Lindsay Clancy was looking to kill herself, and that's indicated by what she did. And we heard expert testimony on that front about how much bleeding there was and all of that. So the knife could be related to that piece.
And you heard her attorney there say it could be an hour, it could be days. Like, what's your sense of what this jury has to sift through?
That's true, because the jury doesn't have a time limit on how long they can deliberate. This is a complex case. Even though the issue is very narrow, Lindsay Clancy's state of mind at the time, there's a lot for the jury to go through. We're going to have a full day of deliberations today. We keep an eye on it, but it could absolutely go into next week.
Emily, Clancy's defense attorney said the healthcare system failed Lindsay Clancy. And Lindsay and her ex-husband, Patrick, have both filed medical malpractice lawsuits against her providers. This is a very big point for the jury.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the defense utilizing those bags of pills that now the jury wants to see, also reading more than a dozen medications that she had been prescribed in the months ahead of the killings. And now both Lindsay Clancy in one lawsuit and Patrick Clancy on behalf of the kids in a malpractice lawsuit are alleging that She was not properly diagnosed, evaluated, monitored, and that contributed, they say, to her her spiraling mental health, to the postpartum psychosis, as the defense has described. The defense also had said in their closing arguments she was over-medicated. Again, reading through that long list of medications and also detailing her attempts to get help in the months before the incident in January. She called suicide hotline, checked herself into a psychiatric hospital, maternal health facility, and saw various doctors. Now some of those healthcare providers are at the other end of these lawsuits.
All right, Emily Ikeda, Misty Marris, thank you so much, both of you.